All right, let's dive in. Today, we're heading to a truly special place, Mardin. It's this ancient city in Mesopotamia where history isn't something you just read about in books. You can actually taste it. And trust me, it's delicious.
So that really gets you thinking, right? What does history taste like? It sounds like this huge abstract question, but you'll see the answer is way more concrete than you'd think.
Because in Mardin, you can literally taste the past. And we're going to figure this out by exploring 5 amazing dishes, each one telling a piece of the city's story. So let's take a quick peek at what's on the menu.
First up, we've got two pastries, caliche and Suryani chore, and these are a huge deal for community gatherings. We're talking everything from celebrations to moments of sadness.
Then there's sambusik. People call it the Mardin pizza, but it's really this savory pastry that has some really cool secrets hiding inside. Next, we'll get into incasia. It's this incredible sweet and savory stew made with plums and lamb, and it's got a history that goes all the way back to the Ottoman palaces. We're also going to check out sütlaçlı zerde. This is a super clever 2-layered dessert that plays with hot and cold and sweet and not so sweet. And to finish things off, we're going to uncover the secrets behind badem shekeri, the city's famous, absolutely iconic blue almonds. Okay, let's jump right in.
So, our first stop is all about food that unites people. And these aren't just, simple snacks, no way. These are staples at religious holidays, weddings, even funerals. They're literally the taste of shared experience.
Okay, so at first glance, you might think these two pastries are pretty much the same, but they're actually really different. Kilicha uses yeast, so it gets big and soft, but here's the cool part. They press it down before baking so it doesn't puff up too much. Now, Suryani chore, totally different. No yeast, so it's smaller, crispier, and just packed with this amazing mix of spices like mahaleb and fennel. It's like two sides of the same delicious coin.
All right, let's switch gears from sweet to savory and talk about sambusek. You'll hear it called Mardin pizza, but what it really is this incredible, folded half-moon pastry stuffed with a savory meat filling. And to make it just right, well, you gotta know a few local secrets. So, let's break it down. Secret number 1 is the dough. They add yogurt, which makes it firmer. The goal is a texture that's described as the softness of an earlobe. How great is that? Then there's the filling. And you know what's not in there? Tomatoes. And that's on purpose. They leave them out so the filling doesn't get all watery when it bakes. It's a small detail, but it makes a huge difference. And the final secret? It's all about the heat. Sambusik is baked in an oven that gets up to a blistering 450 degrees Celsius on top, but the bottom is much cooler, around 250. This crazy temperature difference cooks the top super fast, lets it puff up perfectly, and keeps the bottom from burning. It's just genius heat control. And that brings us to the absolute best way to eat this thing. You don't break it in half. Don't do it. You start at the top and you work your way down. Why? Because as you eat, all the delicious juices and flavors from the meat drip down and collect right at the bottom. So that last bite, it's the absolute best one. It's like a built-in grand finale. Okay, now let's get into another key idea in Mardin's cooking, this incredible skill for balancing totally opposite flavors. The next couple of dishes we're looking at are just perfect examples of this, mixing sweet, savory, and sour in a way that feels ancient, but also super sophisticated. So this is incasia. It's a dish with some serious history, going way back to the Ottoman court. They even call it palace stew. The name itself comes from the Arabic word for plum, and that tells you everything. Plums are the star here, right alongside tender lamb. It just nails that balance between the savory meat, the sweetness from the plums and grape molasses, and then this little hint of sourness. It's literally a symphony of flavors in one pot.
And here's a really cool piece of food history for you. Before tomatoes showed up and became a staple in Turkey, which was pretty late in the 19th century, what did cooks use for flavor? Fruit. Things like plums and dates were used to add all that depth and sweetness and acidity to savory dishes. So when you eat injera kasiye, you're not just eating a stew, you're literally getting a taste of what the world was like before tomatoes took over.
Here's another amazing example of that genius for balance. It's a dessert called sütlaçlı zerde, and it's basically 2 desserts in one. On the bottom, you have sütlaç, a cold, unsweetened rice pudding. Then they pour a hot, sweet, water-based pudding called zerde right on top. It's this beautiful yellow from turmeric and saffron. So the trick to eating it is, you have to dig your spoon all the way to the bottom. That way you get both layers in one bite, hot and cold, sweet and plain. It's an incredible sensation.
All right, for our final stop, we're diving into a true symbol of Mardin, something that's just pure culinary art, the famous blue almonds. And trust me, calling this candy just doesn't do it justice. This is pure craftsmanship.
Locally, these are called imlebes, and that name comes from an Arabic word that means to dress or to coat, which is just perfect because that's exactly what they do. Each and every almond gets carefully dressed in a beautiful coat of sugar.
The whole process is incredibly precise. It starts with roasting the almonds for about 10 minutes until they have the perfect color of a bread crust. Then, and this has to happen fast, while they're still hot, they get moved straight into this special spinning copper cauldron. That's where the real action begins.
And this is where the magic really happens. A blue-tinted sugar syrup is ladled over the almonds as they spin, one layer at a time. They tumble, they dry, and they get another coat, and another, and another. Get this process is repeated about 50 times. 50! All to build up that perfectly smooth, crispy sugar shell. I mean, the patience and skill involved is just unbelievable.
So, you're probably wondering, where does that incredible blue color come from? It's all natural. It's a dye that comes from the root of the Lahore tree. And here's a little pro tip for spotting the real deal. Because the dye is natural, the color actually fades over time and gets kind of whitish. That's why they have the nickname ghost almond candy. So if you see some that stay bright blue forever, chances are it's a synthetic dye.
So, after this whole culinary journey, what's the big takeaway? Well, it's clear that in Mardin, food is so much more than just food. It's the absolute heart of the community. It's all about a sophisticated balance of flavors, using ancient ingredients, and showing off this incredible mastery of techniques that have been passed down for generations.
You know, in Mardin, a single meal tells you a whole story. A story of community, of balance, of amazing craftsmanship. And that really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If the history of your town, your city, could be told in a single meal, what stories would its flavors tell about the people who made it?